let's go make a toddler busy book with things in my house. And just pretend that I took my Christmas decorations down a month ago like everybody else in the world. Do you want a page, Molly? Do you want a page? We're gonna make a page for my dog. I just spent $50 at Hobby Lobby on all this felt and a little bit of white fabric and some thread. I cut 12 9-inch squares. The first page is going to be this picture of my dogs, and how I'm going to do it is I'm going to cut out these pieces and trace them onto the color felt that I need. I didn't want it to be too complicated, but I also did want them to be recognizably my dogs, so I cut out their nose and eyes and mouth and did those in black. And the background I had just made with fabric. I do want every page to have some kind of activity, so I found these buckles in my stash, and then I also found this stuff. So I just stitched that on real quick. So now it looks like this. It looks just like the picture. I'm really happy with it. And it was surprisingly one of the easier pages that I made. For every page, I just took a picture of what I was going to be making on my page. I wanted every page and the page across from it to go together. So I did 2 dog pages. And then I did 2 pages for each of my kids' rooms, which you'll see coming up. I got a huge pack of Velcro dots, and I used them a lot in this book. I cut out individual little pieces of dog food. I stuck those on the back, and then I did stitch the Velcro on. A lot of these pages, it looks like I can't sew a straight line, and for the most part, I can, but felt shifts and warps, it's actually really hard to work with. I probably should have used stabilizer. Next, I'm gonna do this room. I cut out the shape of a dresser and sewed that on. I only stitched the drawers on the bottom of the drawer so that you could open the flap and put clothes inside. Originally, I made it look like this, and then I decided that I made the books too ugly. So I did end up going back and making them with my Cricut. I just found a picture of the book covers and then went to PNG to SVG.com and turned them into Cricut files. These books were actually the most time-consuming part of the entire Busy Book. They're not perfect, but they're a lot better than the first ones I made. And these are his 3 favorite books. Since I already have a buckle and Velcro things, I think for the next page I want to do snaps. So I'll do his bed and snap his comforter on. Before I do this room, we need to put the bee back up, which fell off probably, 3 months ago? Let's see which fabric color is closer. Okay, this is way too light. For the wood lines on his wall, I cut 1-inch strips and then folded and ironed them like bias tape. I made the background by just placing those down and stitching them. And then I tried to do the letters in felt. Hi, Cricut. That did not work. The felt on the Cricut. Okay, we're gonna have to try something different. I ended up doing his name letters in iron on vinyl, which was difficult because the background has a lot of texture and all those lines. I was getting frustrated, but I did eventually get it to work. I had to grab my husband because we could not figure out how to make a bed look like a bed. It was really hard to do. We cut the bed shape so many times and we realized that it has to look like the front is closer to you than the back. So we ended up layering the pieces by doing a back, a mattress, and then a front piece to the mattress. I used a glue stick to make all the little pieces stick together, and I sewed everything on in layers. I started with the back and then went to the front. I had to change my thread color 10 billion times for every page. And I just added some quick plastic snaps to the blanket and the pillow, so that would be the activity for the page. And this is how the page ended up looking. I do feel like this whole book is kind of a time capsule of my house right now. Next up, I'm doing my other son's window seat, and right here I'm cutting out the window. I just sewed everything on in layers. I did use fabric for the back of most of my scenes, and then I used felt in front of the fabric. The activity for this page is going to be closing the curtains. So I made the curtains, and then I got rope and strung that through, and then I'm just going to attach it on the sides so that you can slide them open and shut. This is how it ended up looking. I do love this page. It's my favorite spot in the whole house. For the next page, I'm just doing a zip up sleep sack because I feel like every Busy Book needs a zipper, and my toddler uses this every single day. I did this the laziest way possible by just cutting out where I wanted my zipper to go and then placing the zipper behind it and sewing it on. I didn't even switch to a zipper foot. Don't judge me. Sometimes I'm just lazy. I cut off the extra zipper, and then I set the edges of the sleep sack down to the page. It was basically done, but I did end up adding trim because that's what his sleep sack looks like. And both the pages for this room are done, so I'm gonna move on to my daughter's room. I got this mirror from Dollar Tree because I wanted to do the vanity in her room. I cut all the steps out because this page made no sense. I remade it to look like this, which does not use a real mirror, so it won't break. The first one I made was ugly anyway, and I do want this book to be perfect-ish. So I got that rainbow piece of felt, and I realized that all felt is not created equal. This felt was so much easier to work with. I layered all my pieces just like I did for the other bed, except for I am stitching the comforter down on this one. For the activity on this one, I am doing Velcro again, but I'm gonna put them on a cord and it's gonna be the pillows for her bed. I do not recommend trying to sew tiny pillows with tiny details in felt. The last 2 activity pages are gonna be for the playroom. I made 1 page a day every day during nap time, and I am not the same person on day 10 that I was on day 1 when I made the dog page. We have a hook on the ceiling in our playroom where we hang different things. Ignore the mess of my playroom, but I definitely want to make this roller coaster ride. I wonder if I could make it ride in a track, like put 2 pieces together with interfacing so it's super thick, and then have maybe like a wheel that fits in there so it slides on the track. The track has a lot of different colors, which made it kind of hard, but I cut out 2 of every single one. They have interfacing iron on the backs, and I put them all together. I sewed the track down, leaving space for a wheel. Then I made the car. I also made it stiff with interfacing. I used leather for the wheels. I'll show the results in a minute. I'm done all the felt pages. I am gonna put 2 pages with these like little pockets so that I can put pictures in them. So I'm just gonna sew these down to 2 little squares. I did this for these 2 pages and I just sewed around the edges. Okay, these are all my pages laid out. There's 12. And these 2 go together, these 2 go together, like they're in pairs. But I think when I sew it, this is going to be the inside of the front cover. So I would sew these 2 together because they'll be back to back. So I'm going to sew these 2 together. I'm going to leave a hole so I can turn it inside out. I sewed around the edges of the page. I left a hole so that I could turn it inside out like this. Then I ironed it flat and top stitched around the edge. I repeated that process for all the pages except for the inside front cover and the inside back cover. Now let's make a cover and put it all together. I made the cover piece 19 inches long and then 9.5 inches tall. Remember, all of my squares inside are 9 inches. And then I just wrote home on the front. So now my cover looks like this, and I need to somehow attach the pages inside. This will be the inside front cover. I'll have all these pages in the middle, and then this photo pocket page will be in the back cover. And then I'm going to sew these 2 together at the spine. I do think it would have been better if I made these 1 piece and longer. Now they look like this. Then I folded all the edges down and ironed them flat for the cover and the inside cover. Then I picked a zipper because I do want the whole book to zipper shut. I went with a white zipper because my gray just didn't match. I want my zipper to go around this edge here. I had the center marked so that I knew where to start and stop my zipper, but I didn't use a glue stick. I didn't use interfacing. I didn't use anything to keep this in place. I just walked it along while I sewed. Then I just pulled my zipper up at a 90-degree angle where the line for the middle was. So that would be my spine and my zipper would stop there. Half the zipper is sewn, and then I just unzipped it and sewed it to the other side. This is how the cover looks right now. It's not perfect, but actually my zipper lines up pretty well, which I was surprised about. And then I'm just gonna sew this in around the edge. Now I have to put all the middle pages in, and I wish that I had sewn these in long sheets instead of 2 separate pages across from each other. I wish I sewed them together. But this is how I thought it was best to attach them now, just sew along here. It's done! First up, we have the dog bowl page. Next up, we have my dogs licking each other. I did base this off of my favorite picture of them. And this page has the buckle for the activity. The next page is my son's dresser with his 3 favorite books. And this page has the Velcro books for the activity, and then also the Velcro clothes that go inside the drawer flaps. Next, we have his bed, and this one has the snap-on comforter and pillow. Then we have my other boy's room with the window seat. And this is how the curtains work. They just open and close. This is his sleep sack. This page was so fast. It definitely took less than an hour. And it's easy, but it works. Next is my daughter's rainbow room with the pillows. Originally, I made the page like this. But that was with a real mirror, so I remade it like this. I'm counting the fake mirror as the activity for the left page. On to the last room, the playroom. It's basically just a plain page where you switch out the rope swing for the other swing, and then I did have another swing that I lost before I filmed this. Let me show you the ride on car. It doesn't go super smooth, but it does ride along the track and stay in there. And here's the final book. I'm gonna flip through it for you. It took 2 weeks to finish. I worked on it a couple hours almost every day. I will never make another one, but I will keep this one forever because I do love it and my kids love it. Everything is very recognizable to them, which I think is really nice. And I'll put real family photos in the back of it. See you soon.